distinguished colleagues, I want to join my colleagues. I'm Senator Chukwukudas and I represent Enugu North Central District of Enugu State. Mr. President, I want to join my colleagues in supporting this exercise by the Central Bank of Nigeria. You know, at the onset of this announcement, we started hearing from hearing divergent opinions, one from the Minister for Finance and the other from the CBN and all that. But I know that all of us who are very used to the banking and the financial institutions and other matters under this at BOFID, know that it is the duty, it is sole responsibility of the Central Bank of any country to bring fiscal policies that affect everything they do about banking, including change of notes, monetary policy. So that's their business. And they don't share this thing with anybody. And that's why it is made so in the that the central bank governor is independent. You can, once appointed, he's on his own to do anything. If he thinks fit that this is what's going to do, he will do that. And Mr. Godwin Emefiele has just exercised such powers. And this Senate that screens them and approves them today is giving him the nod that he should continue with what he's doing. And he has our backing. Now, having said that, Mr. President, with my colleagues, I also want to say that because of the peculiarity of Nigeria, the rural nature of our city, the leadership of this National Assembly has to interface with the CBN governor with a view to ensuring that our local populace do not suffer in this exercise. Because it has already been said here by colleagues that most of our people in the rural area do not go to banks. They have up to 10,000 naira, 15,000 naira, 20,000 naira, 50 at most. So if they have this, the banks, the central bank working through the commercial banks, will find a way of visiting the rural areas as it used to be done in the past. With the security agencies, they will come to the market. They will put a date. They are going to visit this particular area, and these people will come there with their money and change there and collect their money. This 20,000, 50,000 naira, they collect their new money and go back and continue their trading. If you want to compel these people to go to the bank, they will never go. And the economic activities will ground down to a halt. So the central bank has to find a way to visit all the rural communities in the rural local government and the local government areas with a view to making things work. If we don't, Mr. President, the tendency is that money changers will go into profiteering at the expense of people. You can't go to the bank. If I'm going to go to a bank on your behalf, what are you giving to me? So we will not do that because it will visit hardship on our people. And if we put all these things in place, Mr. President, I will say that we are behind this exercise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. I'm going to use the 2 minutes. My colleagues have said it all, but there's one important thing that I want to re-echo, and that is what the minority leader touched on briefly, and distinguished Senator James Manager also mentioned. It is very, very important for the CBN, either through the chairman of the committee that brought it, to ask the CBN to address or come up with ways of how to handle the situation that most of our rural populace are facing in terms of cash dealing. I give you an example. In my state, we have 27 local government. After the insurgency, as it is now, we only have 5 banks in the 27 local government. And you know, if this is implemented without adequate arrangement, people will have problem moving their monies to the central banks. The insurgents, armed robbers, criminals will virtually be looking out to waylay them and take away the little they have. So the CBN should make adequate arrangement to address this issue where local government, towns that don't have bank will have access to changing their money. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Alundume.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Biodun Olujimi, I represent Ekiti South. Mr. President, I am in full support of this motion. I believe we need to do something about the liquidity that we now have in the country. But I also believe that there are serious issues to be considered. One of them is the one mentioned by the minority leader on the window open to everybody to exchange their money for the new one. 1 month and a half is extremely short for what we're about to do. Because if you withdraw 1 trillion from this economy at once in a month, the ripple effect will affect everybody. It will affect our buying power, it will affect markets, it will affect traders, it will affect everybody. And if we're not careful, we will shut down the economy. And that is very, very important consideration for CBN and all the banks involved. My colleagues have spoken of the other issues. However, there is one more issue. We have serious elections within this period. And everyone knows that with elections come logistics, come arrangements, and co. If everything is withdrawn from the system, we do not want a situation whereby there will be preference for certain people to get funds out of the bank and the others cannot. That is very important and key to whatever we're doing. And the Senate should invite the CBN governor so that we can hear from him what he intends to do where all these are concerned. And I believe when we're comfortable with that, then no one has a problem with what is on ground. I thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Olujimi. Senator Betty Apiafi.
I join my other colleagues to state clearly that it's a prerogative of the CBN to print currency. And of course, the approval of the president, they've already got. But the issues that bother everyone is the implication of this policy. A lot of people have spoken about the shortness of time and the people in the rural areas and all of that. If we are aware, recently our banking sector has undergone a lot of mutation, if I say, and rural banking has more or less shut down in all our rural areas. So of course that's an issue. A lot have spoken about it, but then I want to add other issues. What has this policy got to do with fiscal policy in the economy? What does it have to do with our foreign policy in terms of exchange rate? What does it got to do with our economy? What improvements will it do our economy? Right now, the exchange rate is going out of control. Is this policy going to do anything good to our economy? Is it going to help the exchange rate? Is it going to reduce inflation? What is it really going to reduce? What about the cost associated with this printing? You know, these are some of the questions we need to get clarifications from CBN. And like I'm a member of the committee and as the chairman has spoken, we would look at all of this and see how it affects the economy. If we want to talk about changing currency because of security challenges, I don't think that's enough. America, or if we talk about counterfeiting as a reason for changing currency, I don't think that's enough. American dollar is everywhere in the world. It is being forged everywhere. It is being used everywhere in the world. It doesn't make them to change their currency. But I think we need to look deeper into these issues, the economic implications of it. Is it going to help Nigeria in any way? We are at a crossroad as a nation, and our economy is in a very bad shape. What is the implication of this? Is it going to make it better, or is it going to contract our economy? Because is it going to make our economy more dollarized? Or is it going to make our economy, the Naira, to be useful? I read somewhere yesterday that the insurgents are already saying they will collect CFA. They will collect CFA as ransom. So we need to be very careful and review these issues properly and be guided the proper way for the interest of this nation at this very critical time of our economy. Thank you very much, Mr. President.